Good afternoon, and thanks for stopping by Across the Fence. I'm Keith Silva. 2025 marks the 3 years of the annual RISE Summit at UVM. This gathering of academics, researchers, business leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs has become a look into the future of everything in Vermont in terms of technology, innovation, and sustainability. Our guest today is the leader of that meeting of the minds, the director of the Leahy Institute for Rural Partnerships, Tricia Coates. Welcome back. It's always good to have you here.
Thank you, Keith. It's great to be here, and congratulations on 70 years at Across the Fence. I know you haven't been here this whole time. But
No.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. 3 years of RISE, Tricia. Remind our viewers about the conference and what's UVM RISE.
RISE gives us an opportunity to really shine a light on a lot of interesting research happening at UVM, and also to demonstrate the relevance of that research to the state, to the economy, to our communities. So you're going to hear from faculty, from students, but you're also going to hear from community members. You know, they could be town select board members, they could be state agency directors, they could be artists, entrepreneurs, farmers. So we bring them all together, and really it's an opportunity to talk about how research can help our state move forward and solve problems.
So this just isn't a UVM thing where it's just a bunch of professors getting together and talking about how they can help Vermont. Everybody's a part of this.
As if that wouldn't be fun enough. But yes, you're right. It's really an opportunity for us to welcome the community in. Mm-hmm. And what I find is often at RISE, it's hard to get people to come back to the next panel or the next workshop because there's so much networking happening between the UVM folks and the community folks.
All that in between those different sessions. RISE is a one-day conference. I want to make sure we get this off at the top. Happening June 17th from 8:30 to 5 on the UVM campus. So those are the details if you're free.
And it is free.
And it is free.
Yes.
It is free.
So it is one day this year, and the registration is uvm.edu/RISE. Like I said, there's going to be an opportunity to really not only learn about interesting partnerships that have come together around big problems like housing and wastewater infrastructure and schools, but there's also an opportunity to learn about how to partner with UVM. So we've got some real practical workshops happening this year as well.
Excellent. One of the things we've been talking a lot about on Across the Fence this past year is UVM's R1 designation. I should say the theme of the program is research is a public good. What does that phrase mean to you?
Yeah, thanks. It is really the core of the work of the Leahy Institute for Rural Partnerships and really the university, the land grant institution. You know, it's always best when, as a society, we make decisions with the best available information. So, for example, it's probably wise of us to have an analysis of Vermont's wastewater capacity before we build 30,000 new homes. It's probably helpful for us to make it easy for farmers to use the best data available to inform how they use fertilizer on their fields. Mm-hmm. It's probably really, really smart of us to have a statewide weather monitoring system that can help us better predict where weather is going to happen across the state, and that's going to help researchers understand new patterns. So these are really examples of current research happening at the university that provide a service to the people of Vermont.
Right, the public good part.
The public good. Research provides for the public good.
Not just happening on the campus or in a lab somewhere, it actually benefits the people of Vermont. And that's our whole land grant university. That's what we do at UVM. And those examples you pointed out were really good because those are all things that are going to help us. The weather monitoring station, tracking floods, tracking, all that, runoff, everything like that.
Yes.
Fertilizer, food, something that the Leahy Institute is very close to. This kind of innovation and the importance on the emphasis on sustainability, this is a cornerstone of UVM. This is something that has been going on for years. Do you have examples of things that, aren't just because you have this conference going on that you can report on, that some old school research, so to speak?
So I want to back up too, Keith, because I think some of the most powerful research that happens in partnership with community. It is a question that is asked by a community that has a need, right. And with researchers really develop the research questions and come up with, hopefully, with good answers and solutions. And a lot of that does happen in a lab. So let me give you some examples of some OG research that we like to talk about. So I'll pivot away from agriculture for a minute, although we could do a whole show on that, because we're really excited about the research that's been happening for about 3 years in community schools across the state. So but a few years ago, Vermont allowed several schools to develop a new model called a community school, and it's very student-centered, it's very community-centered. And this work is really helping these small town schools to be vibrant centers of their community. The whole time there's been a research team from UVM embedded in those schools, working with the Agency of Education to assure that what's happening there is evaluated, that it's best practice, that it works best for the students. That research has grown to include new elements of mental health for students and a look at rising rates of absenteeism among our rural students. So it's very core to the work of the university to have identified this need with the state and then to be out with our faculty, with our graduate students, with undergraduate students working in these really wonderful local schools.
That's great. Education is something that's on the mind of a lot of Vermonters, certainly a big thing for UVM. I said I'd give you a minute on that and we would go back to agriculture, but
Sure.
One of the tenets of the RISE conference is in line with the land-grant university.
Yeah.
Vermont is an agricultural state. What sort of innovations in the food sector are going on or will be discussed at RISE?
Yeah, there's so many things, but I selfishly will tell you about a few that the Leahy Institute has been involved with. And there's, as you have had on Across the Fence in the past, there's so many wonderful efforts in the state to build more local and regional food production,
food hubs.
And food distribution, and yes, food hubs. And it's wonderful for our economy, for our environment, and for our health. And so a couple of things that the Leahy Institute has worked on in partnership with UVM Extension, Food Systems Research Center are the following. We are developing currently a very easy to visualize map of the local food distribution system in the state. And so folks from the food hubs, farmers, folks purchasing local food will be able to look at this and see where there are assets. Where are there ways to plug into this local food system? Where do we need investments? Where do we need problem solving? That's going to be a very practical tool for a lot of people working on local food in the state. I mentioned earlier we have a project up on Border View Farm, and you've probably had Professor Darby here on the show in the past, and she has worked with Farmers Watershed Alliances across the state to develop a technology and a data collection tool so that farmers can more precisely add fertilizer to their fields where it's needed most. And as you know, that has really good implications for water quality and productivity on the farm.
Precision agriculture, it's the future, putting the nutrients where they need to go, exactly where they need to go, and knowing that this block of crops needs this much but this block of crops, no more than a stone's throw away, needs a totally different nutrient thing. I mean, that's amazing.
It's amazing. And how are our Vermont farmers deploying that?
Right.
So this project really looks at how are we collecting and sharing that data in a way that really works for our producers.
Exactly. A reminder to our viewers, RISE is a one-day conference happening June 17th from 8:30 to 5 on the UVM campus. The keynote this year is being delivered by Dr. Mark Becker, president of the Association of Public Land Grant Universities, the APLU. Not much controversy or media coverage regarding public universities nowadays, Tricia. It's pretty quiet out there, so I suppose Dr. Becker, it's going to be a short speech, regardless of it's the keynote.
He's really looking forward to coming to the University of Vermont because the University of Vermont has not hesitated to really lean into its land grant mission. Let me respond to, I think, the question behind your question.
Yes, a little sarcasm there.
Sure, yeah, I understand. So, there have always been people who question the value of science. There are people who get frustrated with the pace and the cost of academic research. So I think really the onus is on us and on venues like Across the Fence to really tell the story of this relevance, of this essential role that research plays in our communities, in our economy. If we don't make decisions with the best information, then we risk impacts that we can't even foresee.
Right.
And we waste time, and we don't have a lot of time to waste with some of these big challenges. So it's really a wonderful opportunity at RISE for Dr. Becker and for all of our partners to come together and not have a political discussion about whether or not science is of value. What we're going to be talking about is how these research partnerships have come together to create solutions that are very practical for our state and our nation.
Well, Tricia, thank you very much. It was a great discussion, and thank you for coming in to talk about RISE. That takes care of our program for today. My thanks to the crew behind the scenes here at WCX who make our program possible. And always rise to the occasion. This is Across the Fence. Thanks for being part of our family.